This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Radar, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with Dierdre Friel about Physical. How are you today, Dierdre?
Good. How are you, Abe?
Good, good. I really like this show, and I'm excited to be making my way through season 2 right now.
Thank you. I love it. I'm really proud of it.
What originally attracted you to the role of Greta?
There's a lot of things. Obviously, working with somebody like Byrne is an amazing draw to a project. The role is so body positive, which is a wonderful thing in my industry to get that opportunity. Annie Weissman's writing, obviously, in her amazing resume, but the writing on this project too really spoke to me. And yeah, and then as it's even continued to come together, the cast, the crew, Steph Lang has directed a great majority of our episodes. She's so brilliant. So it's a lot of things came together, and then Apple TV kind of busting out the way it has been. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I had the chance to speak with Annie and Stephanie recently, so it's nice to hear good things about them.
Aren't you lucky? Brilliant women.
Yes, I think what's interesting about the show, you mentioned the body positive part. I think it's that there were a lot of the time period that it's set in is not very favorable to people who don't fit a certain mold, but the show doesn't treat them as abnormal, even though you have that voice sort of saying over and over that it might be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's really well put. I think, the 60s and 70s in America was a lot of time of liberation, of oppressed groups sort of having that opportunity to speak out, come forward, and make a lot of change. And then the 80s emerged, and we're kind of like, what changed a little bit, And I think it's interesting in 2022, we're still going, what changed a little bit, right? We're still continuing to have some of these conversations a lot. So yeah, I think that the really brilliant women at the helm of this show treat everybody with such respect, and yet do an amazing job of reflecting how society at the time maybe didn't, also value every single person in every single way the same way.
What would you say is the most difficult thing about playing Greta?
Oh, good question. She's so anxious. She's so unsure of herself that sometimes when I have to sit in that for a long time and I come out of it at the end of the day, I'm like very anxious myself driving in the car, or my poor boyfriend when I'm in Los Angeles with him is, are you okay? And I'm like, no, it just was a very anxious day yesterday. That kind of thing kind of spills over a lot. Yeah, I don't know. There have been wonderful, challenging scenes, but I think sort of in the twisted brain of actors, we kind of get juiced about that a little bit. So it's the exciting thing to sort of let audiences see and share,
Yeah, I think one of the relationships I enjoy most is one that we actually don't see very often, and that's between Greta and Ernie, just because that is morphed into something that's really very oddly positive and supporting, because that's definitely not how it started, right?
Sure, right? So I think they started off as what maybe even a lot of couples are today, but certainly, you thought of a nuclear family in America as, the husband and the wife, and you have the 2 children, and then everyone should be perfect and happy. And when Greta sort of forced Ernie to get really honest about what was happening, the 2 of them kind of have emerged into this really great place of real honesty. And not everything is perfect. Some things they have tried, one doesn't like or the other doesn't like, but it doesn't ruin anything. It gets them deeper into more real conversations. The relationship has blossomed in a really wonderful way. I'm so lucky that Ian Gomez has agreed to play my husband for 2 seasons, because he has just been like truly the most wonderful, supportive scene partner. He always makes me laugh anytime we have to do these like weird, uncomfortable things. I think like the second day I met Ian was this day we shot the big scene in season 1 where like I had shaved my head and I confront him, and so I was like, hello, I think I have to stick my hand down your pants tomorrow. Would you like to talk about how then he's always just been so sort of warm and open and fun. So he makes everything really easy and fun.
That's nice to hear. I think another relationship I enjoy is the one that Greta has with Danny, which is absolutely not a positive one. And he'd like to think it's better than it is. But what is it like working with him and try to create that animosity?
Well, Rory Scovel is so hilarious. I mean, you know, Rory's a very well-known, well-established stand-up comedian and has extraordinary experience in improv. I have the tiniest bit of experience in improv, but Rory does entire sets where he walks out with no material and he'll talk for 40 minutes and have the audience rolling. So getting to shoot more with Rory this season was so wonderful because you do not know what he's going to say. Like, you know, there's a script, but he's going to add stuff and he's going to go all over the place, especially at the end. So it's really, really fun. The hardest part of shooting with Rory is keeping a straight face when I have to do a take, because I have to like be mad at him. But in real life, Rory and I are pretty great friends and he really cracks me up. So he's opened me up a lot to feel freer to, you know, to say what's on my mind too, maybe not on the page. It has been a joyride shooting with Rory. He is wonderful.
That's really nice. And what I've noticed a lot about your scenes with Rose, especially after talking to Stephanie, is that the camera really is just so like in your face, and it feels like you're just sort of both shouting at each other the entire time. Is that what the experience is like?
I don't feel like we're shouting at each other, but they do we do an interesting thing on this show, which is new for me on screen, which is we like talk to the lens a lot. So a lot of times the camera will be here, but you know, your scene partner's like here. So, you know, like I'm looking at the camera right now to talk to you, but on screen, maybe I would be looking like here, talking to the person. And we do this, and I think it gives the audience more of an effect of like really being in our heads, right? So it's hard. And as much as we can, the person who's on the other side of the camera, who's giving you the lines while they're shooting you, really tries to be present. Like if you can see their face a little bit or give you a lot of energy to, but yeah, that's been a very interesting shift, but it's such a signature now of our show. It's like weird not to do it, you know?
And there are so many great cast members that you don't have the chance to interact with. Is there somebody that you would really, really love to have Greta, you know, be with, even though it just doesn't make sense story-wise?
Yes, Paul Sparks. I think he's a genius, and he has done some of the funniest work I have seen this season. And I don't know why, and I'm sure a scene between Greta and John Bream would be very awkward. I don't know if Greta would know what to do, because as adventurous as Greta is, sort of betrayal or like infidelity is a big no-no for Greta. So as we saw this week, right, like where Greta said to Sheila, like, you haven't been honest with me. She feels really betrayed. So, but I would love to shoot with Paul. I think he's super brilliant, and it would be like getting to take an acting class, but somebody's paying me to shoot with Paul Sparks, you know?
That sounds fun. Because I'm a week ahead of the last episode, but I haven't finished this season. Do you have a spoiler-free preview for audiences of what to expect? Or is that dangerous question to ask?
I don't know how much I can say, because where we just left in episode 7, Greta and Sheila had a pretty friendship-ending fight. I think the way that Greta walks out of the scene, you can see that Greta still really cares what happens to Sheila, but Greta also has to draw a line in the sand. Like, I can't continue to accept this friendship if you are going to leave me in the dark, and if you're gonna not respect me as your equal, like respect me as your teammate. And so yeah, I don't know if I should say what happens, because I feel like audiences have to find out.
That's fair.
Oh, and my laundry just ended.
Do you think a season 3 is in the cards? Is that something you would be up for?
I would love, I mean, I'm so happy to work with this group of people. I can't comment on it, you know, officially, but I really love this show. So
that's great. Well, I was in New York a few months ago, and I had the chance to see a small movie called Somewhere in Queens at Tribeca, which I really enjoyed. Also, Brad Garrett was in the audience, so it was fun to hear him and Ray Romano go back and forth a little with an improvised bit. But it's just, what can you say? What can you say about working on that project?
That was really spectacular. That was it was Ray's directorial debut. So he wrote it, he starred in it, he directed it, he also produced it. I mean, he had a team, and he's really smart in that he also surrounded himself with incredibly competent people who were supporting him in all of these roles, right? But To say Ray Romano is like cream of the crop is not strong enough. He's like truly brilliant. And the dramatic work I got to see him do. I mean, we've gotten to see him do a lot more of that stuff in recent years since, the popularity of Everybody Loves Raymond, but he was like brilliant. I was like so blown away, so lucky to be there. He's a wonderful director. I hope he directs more stuff. And I'm really proud of it. It's such a nice project. It's just about family life and struggling to be a family, and what does that mean? And I guess for your audiences who haven't seen it, I play his younger sister. And then Sebastian Maniscalco is our middle brother, who likes to really give both of us like a hard time, which if you know Sebastian's comedy, was super fun to play with him on screen. Laurie Metcalf amazingly plays Ray's wife. She's so brilliant. It was just really, I mean, I don't know. I've been really fortunate in the last couple of years, but that was a spectacular project to get to be on.
Yeah, I hope audiences will get to see it soon.
Me too.
Do you have anything else coming up?
Not that I can talk about officially, but there's a couple things in the works. I'm developing a couple projects, and I'm writing some stuff, which is cool. And there's things.
Sounds great. Well, I wish you plenty of luck. Hope to see more of you on Physical and somewhere in Queens whenever that may come out.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Of course. Thanks so much for taking the time.